Hey, this is HN Meatloaf, and this is going to be my very first video, and it's going to be top 5 HHN mazes of all time, pretty much, so across all years that I've gone. Um, we discussed this on the podcast, but I really love the question. It was really good coming from Taylor Lewis. Thank you very much for this question. We discussed it a lot, and it was really nice, and I thought it was a great question. So I wanted to go into like more thorough detail about it and make an entire video. So yeah, my first video. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. So number 5 for me definitely has to be Silent Hill. Silent Hill was a maze that I actually never got to go into, believe it or not. But I always watched the walkthroughs on YouTube, and it got me really interested in Horror Nights to begin with, because there were just it was a lot of attention on it, really. I always find that there's a lot of attention on the JPQ, and that was the JPQ that year. And they had a lot of behind the scenes and stuff, and it really got me interested because there's so many like techniques in movies, and it's basically the equivalent of a movie into a maze that you can walk through. It's like walking through the movie. It's how incredible detailed it is. And Silent Hill, I've been a fan of for years, and I just loved how they got everything perfectly right, from the fog everywhere to Pyramid Head. It was just an incredibly well done maze, even though I never got to go through it. But just it got me into it. I love Silent Hill. It's great. Number 5. Number 4 for me has to be Dracula Untold. I thought it was a really great maze, and it was a pretty great movie. Like, I thought it was a pretty good movie. It got a lot of bad reviews. I don't really know why. Probably just because it was another movie coming out really close to Halloween and stuff, and just trying to get a little bit of money. But I thought it was really good personally. Thought it was unique and much more different from normal Dracula movies, which we haven't gotten a couple of years, except for like super edgy ones. Like, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was some one with like a priest and stuff. I don't even know what that was, but this one was really good, and I thought the maze was really good. It didn't stick much to the movie, I thought, but it was really well designed. I really loved the cave. That was really cool. That was in the movie, but they didn't have the scene where he meets the original Dracula or whatever his name was. But that was fine. I thought it was a great maze. Like, it was a really scary cave. They had the little village, and people just ran out of cabins into like other cabins with torches screaming. I thought it was pretty scary, like pretty well done. Um, I also felt like, just like the movie, the maze went under the radar a lot too. Um, but no, I thought it was really good. I thought it was a solid maze. I don't really know why I got a lot of hate for the movie and then didn't really get talked about a lot for the maze itself, but that's my number 4. Okay, number 3 for me has to be Insidious Trilogy. It came out last year, and I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of the Insidious movies. I've been for a while, since like the first one came out, pretty much. I watched that, and I really enjoyed that. It was my favorite of the trilogy. Second came out, I did not like it at all. I really lost like all faith in the series, and I thought it was really slow, really boring. I did not care for it at all. And then 3 came out, and it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as first, but it wasn't as bad as the second. So I figured it was a good middle ground. So I really liked it, I guess. Insidious is just a good franchise. I don't really care for their director who worked on Saw, but I thought his like choices and everything was really good. However, I did like the nod to Saw in the Insidious one, I believe, where he has Jigsaw on the board. I thought that was kind of clever, and how he's the teacher. Um, but back on topic to the maze, I love the maze. I loved how it gave nods to all of the movies pretty equally. It didn't like do or like focus on one movie in particular. Um, and I just thought it was a really good maze. I loved most of all the ending room where it has all the mirrors and strobe lights are going off like crazy, and it has all the different villains from all the different movies. I thought that was really good and really like brought everything together in the end, from going and seeing the three different movies and then just bringing them all together in the end. I thought that was really creative and well done, and that's number 3. My phone cut that short, sorry, so I had to chop that up. Wonderful. Thanks, Apple, for screwing me over. Number 2 has to be Face Off. I really enjoyed this maze, and I really enjoyed the TV show. I think it's a very creative idea. If you don't know what Face Off is, it's essentially Project Runway is the best way to describe it. It's like an elimination series, but instead of dresses, it's makeup. And makeup artists, they do monsters and everything. It's a really great show. And they did the monsters. And this maze was really cool. You got to go upstairs through different environments, essentially. It was really just cool all around. It had Tesla coils. It had I guess not caves, like halls of like Dracula's castle, everything that you could think of, from like classic horror movies to like new ones and new influences. It had it all, and it was just a really cool maze, and I really enjoyed it. I think what I enjoyed the most is how long it was. You got to go upstairs, and if like the entire thing took me at least like 6 minutes, I believe. But that may have been like, it was a pretty heavily crowded night, but it was pretty long. It was really fun, really well done, and that's my number 2. Number 1 for me, you should probably already know by my name, Meatloaf, and is of course An American Werewolf in London. My very favorite horror movie of all time, hands down. Probably most likely my favorite movie of all time as well. Movie wise, I'll probably definitely do a review for it, so I don't want to go too into detail, but basically I just need to say Rick Baker's an incredible makeup artist who's done countless movies and still does today despite his age and absolute ability to retire, but just loves the art so much that he keeps on doing it. So I incredibly respect him for that, and it's just an incredibly well done movie. It combines amazing humor, at least what I find funny. I know it's like certain tastes, and great horror. Personally, I don't find it as scary as more as it's just funny and just amazing makeup. And what amazes me the most is that transformation is done all by hand with like prosthetics and everything. It's just amazingly done and amazingly realistic, when like today movies always use CGI. Everything is done with CGI. Even things like Walking Dead is done with tons of CGI despite incredible makeup nonetheless, but just a lot of parts like kills are just done with a CGI. Everything is CGI now, and it's like a dying art, but I feel like it's being revived by shows like Face Off, like I just talked about, and artists still like Rick Baker. So besides that, I love this maze. It's incredible, and I loved how they used the puppets, which were, I think they had 3, I believe, and they were all gigantic. Of Jack, I'm dumb, Jack, and they were all great, and then the way they hid in the actor's body and the ground during the transformation was great. Alvin talked about it in the podcast, how he just geeked out over that, and that's exactly how I felt too. It was just incredible for such like a big fans. I feel like there's a lot of fans of it because it's an amazing movie, and I just am so glad that they did it. It's favorite maze of all time, probably gonna stay that way for probably forever. I think I love that movie, I love that maze. So number 1, I hope you would enjoy this video. Sorry it's incredibly sloppy, not very good quality.